Hi everyone, this is going to be just a really quick tutorial about how to use Piktochart. So we start out obviously by going to the web page, and then you can sign in right with your Google account. So your school account will work right for this. So all we have to do to sign in is simply click Google, and that will sign us in. Now the first time you do it, it'll ask for some permissions. You can just say okay with all those. Also, the first time you get in, it will give you um, a quick tutorial about how Piktochart works. So hopefully that will help as well. But for our purposes, what we're going to do is we come in, and the first thing we end up doing is going to our dashboard. And the dashboard is just where all your work is saved. It's like kind of a big folder. And you have a couple options of how you create a new one. So if you don't have anything created, you'll have a little create new button right here in the middle. You can go up to the top here and create new, or you can choose which type of infographic, or I guess Piktochart, for our case, it's an infographic you like to create. So we're going to click on that, click on infographic, and it brings you to a spot where you can create a new one, or you can go back to a whole bunch of templates that are there. So if you really like the way something's laid out and you just want to alter a few things, you can pick one of the templates. If you want to start from scratch, you can just go ahead and start from scratch. So I actually have one that we started a little bit earlier. It's completely blank right now. But I just want to go through and show how this is going to work. Oh, I do have a background on. Okay. So first off, you want to name this um, infographic a name that kind of makes sense for what you're doing. So we come up here, and I just call this trial because it's just kind of a trial version of it. Um, and then we can go through and look at our options in terms of what we're going to put in here. So personally, I think it's kind of strange how they have it laid out. I would start with backgrounds, but they have graphics up top here. So basically, shapes, lines, things like that. It's your very basic beginning. Then icons is kind of like a clip art version of how everything works. So if you see something like that you want to put in, you can put that in. You can also search for them. Um, Photos, they have a bunch of stock images that you can put in here. So if there's something that applies to what you're talking about, certainly you can insert that. And then this is kind of neat and kind of fancy looking. You can put in a photo frame. So if you want to format your picture in a certain way, or pictures in a certain way, you can insert them right into that photo frame, and it does that kind of for you, which is pretty nice visually. If you don't like any of the stuff you have there, you can always upload your own images. So, if you're pulling something from the internet, you might have to download it first and then re-upload it, which takes a little step, but it's nice to have the image that you want. One key thing, make sure if you are borrowing anything from the internet that you have the rights to borrow it and you know where it's coming from so you can cite it later on. Then, again, what I said, kind of the first thing I think that should be up there is you can pick your background. So you click on whichever block you're working with, and you select whatever background you want to have in there. So you just can go through and select a couple different things, whatever fits your presentation style, whatever you like. If you really like what your block is starting to look like, you can always go down here to the clone block option. And if you click that, it basically copies that right over again. So it gives you the exact same thing just down below. And if you decide, nah, I don't really like that, you can just go here and delete it, and that's fine. If you want to just add an extra one, if you feel like you have more information than is going to fit in the 3 blocks you end up starting with, you can just hit add block, and it adds that again. Notice it continues the formatting but doesn't have any of the other content in there. But that's how you can set that stuff up basically. In terms of the text, there's obviously different formats of text. So your titles, subtitles, things like that, and your body text. You can click any one of those. Once you have that in, you can manipulate a couple things with your text. One is the text color, so you can choose whatever color you want your text to be. The font style and size you can manipulate. So all of that, and then kind of the text alignment. So depending on how you want it to fit. And you can always hyperlink something in there. So it gives you a bunch of those options to work with your text. The other thing you can do is put in text frames, which are kind of fun. It just gives you a visual way to put your text in. So, you know, whatever you want that to be. Oh, this one says cakes, delicious. But you can change the text in here, make it look cool, whatever it's going to be. So that's another option. And deleting things is simple too. Just hit delete. The other things that you can do in terms of tools is you can insert some other stuff. Videos is really nice. You can insert a YouTube video or a Vimeo video. So you just have to find the URL for that and paste it in, insert it. You can insert charts. So if you have some data you want to put in, you can do all sorts of different types of charts. If you have the data in a CSV or an Excel file, you can import that. You can even take stuff from a Google Sheet and import that. So it gives you a lot of different options for pulling in the data in terms of what graph or chart you're going to make. And then there's also an option to put in maps, which could be helpful. For our purposes with science, we're not really going to see that too much, but it is pretty nice. You can go to edit this map, and it goes through, and you can see population and things like that in the map. So if you want that, you just hit insert map, and you can do that as well. Down here where it says tour gives you a little tutorial if you need that. If you want to go through and have it walk through step by step, you can do that. You can always preview or download, or when you are done, you can share this thing online. So what we have here, we have to make sure we name it. So if you haven't named it yet, it's going to prompt you to name this. Then we click on this button here, and you have unpublished or public as your two options. If you click public, it's going to ask you if it's okay to publish that, and then you get a URL where your infographic is housed that you can share with other people. You can embed it in things, you can turn it in, but that gives you a little bit of how you would actually communicate the work that you've done in your infographic with somebody else. So that's basically how you create an infographic. Hopefully this clears things up. It hopefully gives you a nice idea of how everything works pretty simply.